Hey guys, Duke Delaet here for a bonus episode of Pickup Daily. I'm here to answer a question from a buddy of mine. He was my Uber driver twice, but he's a cool ass guy, and he texted me at like 2 a.m. last night. I was doing like 14 hours of work, and I was just tired of shit, so I told him I'd answer it on video. He says, I have a question. Like, I've been dating a girl for like 1 year and 6 months, and all of a sudden she told me she needs a break from me. Everything was going well, but she went to go visit her family in Poland, and after she came back, I noticed she started to act different. Last week she told me she wants to break up with me. What the fuck happened? I mean, I didn't do anything wrong, but all of a sudden she changed. Did I fuck up? I'm going to answer this question and talk about some details of familial structures on this episode of Pickup Daily. Did I fuck up? That's what he says. So, maybe, maybe not. But since I wasn't in the situation, I don't really know what's going on. I can't give super fine details, but I can give you some overgeneralizing concepts that may help you in future relationships. So, step one, if she's trying to break up with you, obviously, if you've been there together for 1.5 years, there's probably a lot of rapport there built, and so you can continue to get in touch with her and see what happens. But sometimes that's just over, it's over, right? But generally, when you're dating girls that are kind of from a different culture, then they have a lot of pressure and influence. When you first meet them, they see how amazing you are, and they get all like caught up in your world, right? But if they ever get brought back into their world, they have to evaluate things from a different perspective. And this comes like dating girls that are from different countries, dating girls from like in different family structures, different even socio-political, socioeconomic classes. They're gonna get caught up in whatever you're doing, especially if you're doing your shit right. They're going to be super, super enamored with you for a little while, and they're going to just immerse themselves in your world. And that's really good, except for when your world clashes with theirs. I dated a girl a little while back, and she was like super into everything. I made her feel all the right feelings, and everything was great, and it was just going and going and going. But then she's constantly getting accosted from her family and her friends and her everybody around her, and telling her that I'm probably not a good guy for her, and she's probably not really. And she was all into it, and it was very, very entertaining and very exciting. But once the values begin to clash, she had to evaluate it from her perspective, her beliefs, her reference experiences, all the things that she came up with. And then I started to fall into a category of, just every other guy. And then she evaluated me against that rather than against the unique connection that she and I had. And sometimes years and years of that kind of influence can not be overtaken by just a few months of, play and excitement, because people are going to always drop to the level of, what they know. And as soon as there's going to be danger or, breaches of trust or any of that dramatic shit, then the excitement starts to die down and the honeymoon period dies down. And if you haven't built up a lot of crazy trust and connection, then they're going to revert to their old ways and become self-protective. And there's many times you can't do shit about it. So when that happens, the best thing is to learn what you did in that relationship that made the break from excitement to self-protection. You want to take a look at what she was feeling threatened by, or what she was feeling uncomfortable with or needed some space from, and see what you were giving off in that vibe, and figure out for the future relationships, whether it's with her or other people, figure out whether or not you can change how you presented that thing to alleviate those fears. I mean, obviously I'm not going to tell you to not be yourself and not do what you're doing because you're a full-grown man and you can do whatever the fuck you want. However, if your mode of communication and the way that you communicate makes people feel unsafe or makes people feel uncomfortable for a long period of time, it's possible that you could communicate in a way that is more respectful or more, or takes their feelings more into account. Many times when you run into these types of relationship problems and drama, it's not that you don't have good intentions behind it, but it's that the way that you're communicating doesn't take the other person's feelings into account. And you got to calibrate to the way that they're feeling so that you can get your message across clearly. Sometimes, you know, you're dating somebody and your goals just don't match up. Your emotions just don't match up, and you're not compatible for each other, and you should probably just move on and find somebody you're more compatible with. But a lot of times, you guys could be compatible, but the way that you've learned to communicate, the way that you've learned to listen, the way that you have carried the things on for so long are sort of ingrained in your psyche, and you take that communication style in, and if you don't modify it against your partner's feelings, then it's going to be difficult to communicate on a real level, because you're going to start inciting her self-protection mechanisms and making her feel uneasy about things, and that just starts a downward spiral, big snowball effect that eventually ends to the end of the relationship. I was at a seminar last month, and they were saying that it only takes one person to be 100% committed to the relationship to make the relationship work. And you know, I ran that around my head a little bit, and I was like, I don't know, but I'm pretty sure it takes two people. But what they were trying to say was, there are many times where you have the choice to either put the relationship first, or you protect yourself and be right. And when the times come up where you're in some sort of argument, or you're not connected in that moment, and you have an opportunity to either put the relationship first and value that at all costs, or feed your ego and be right. When you choose the feed your ego side, it generally starts to erode things in the infrastructure of your relationship. Because if you are not willing to put yourself aside for the good of the relationship and find a way that can compromise, that will make it work for both your needs, her needs, and the relationship's growth as a whole, and you just choose the thing that you fall back on normally, or something that just feeds your ego, then she will lose a little bit of trust in you each time you do that. And as you erode little pieces of trust away, she'll be forced to use her own faculties to carry the relationship, where she previously trusted you to carry those parts. And if she can't trust you to carry those parts anymore, her own faculties will make her avoid, you know, you'll force her into fight or flight, right? And then she'll avoid you, maybe fight you a little while, maybe fight you forever, or flight, right? Or she'll leave. And when they muster up enough courage, usually with social support, to leave, then that decision is usually a breaking factor of the relationship. It's very difficult for me in the past to build something back up after they've already made that decision once, because there's always this little lingering reference experience they have for breaking that trust and then having that fractured, right? Not to say that it's not possible. I've seen plenty of relationships be able to work through stuff like that and grow through it, but that's generally what happens. So when you say, like, did I fuck up? You know, maybe you did, maybe you didn't, but more likely you didn't make one big fuck up. What you probably did was erode trust and safety in little bits, just by not choosing to grow your communication style to better fit your partner's feelings. That's my opinion on the subject with what little information I had. I'm Duke Delaet, and I'm doing this for Pickup Daily because we do this every damn day. Check us out tomorrow. Until then, stay awesome.